Hello and welcome. Oscar winner Joel Coen, movie director, screenwriter and producer, like so many successful filmmakers, started out shooting Super 8 movies in his backyard. But as they say, from little things, big things grow. In Joel's case, working in partnership with younger brother Ethan, they went on to massive careers, winning multiple Academy Awards and more than 100 film prizes around the world. Over the decades, their credits have included some of the most original, offbeat and quirky movies of the last half-century, including Raising Arizona, Barton Fink, Fargo, The Big Lebowski and Oh Brother, Where Art Thou? But given the often wacky, violent and unconventional content in their films, some of their early movie influences might surprise you. Their very first feature film was the 1984 darkly humoured thriller Blood Simple, starring Frances McDormand, who happens to be Joel's wife, John Getz and veteran Emmett Walsh. While it missed out on the Oscars, among some of its awards, it was the winner of the 1985 Grand Jury Prize at the Sundance Film Festival. I spoke with Joel shortly after Blood Simple was released, and he provided some insights into what initially attracted him to movie making and which film and TV stars he followed in his young days.
Okay, well, congratulations. I like the movie very much, but then I guess you're sick of hearing that, are you?
Well, no, I never get tired of hearing that. That's very nice. Thank you.
Can I go back a little bit? I mean, I kind of know the skeletal details of your background. When and where and why did you become interested in movies?
When and where and why? I guess, I've been, both Ethan and I, my brother and I, have been interested in them for a long time. I mean, we made a lot of short, Super 8s when we were growing up. Just real amateur productions. And then I went to film school in New York,
right,
at New York University.
But well, before that's jumping a bit too far ahead. I mean, what was it about the movies that caught your imagination as kids, and how old were you?
I guess we started making like short Super 8s when we were around 10 and 13. It was really just, it's always been just to goof off.
Right.
It still is.
But
it was always just, just for fun. There was never any sort of broader ambitions than that.
Right. But, I mean, did you have any connection at all with movies? Were you avid movie goers, or was it just somebody gave you a Super 8 camera?
Not unusually. I mean, I'll tell you, where we grew up, I mean, it was just as much television as going to the movies and seeing old movies on TV and that sort of thing.
Right.
We grew up in a very sort of middle-class suburban environment, and we went to the movies a lot, but we also, a lot of it was just sort of going out and imitating what we'd seen on TV.
Right. Who were your favorites? Who what sort of shows and characters and actors?
Who are our favorites? Well, we were really into, this may sound funny, but we were into, we saw a lot of like Doris Day, Rock Hudson movies. We would see things like, Dean Martin and Tony Curtis movies, those types of things.
Right.
Late night TV fodder was basically what we were brought up on. A lot of Hercules muscle movies, like Saturday matinees, that sort of thing.
Right. So what about through high school? I mean, did your interest mature at all? Did you take any film classes in high school and that sort of thing?
No, not in high school. No, our interests have sort of remained very juvenile over the years. Actually, that's not 100% true. It's true we started to become aware of somewhat more sophisticated movie fare, I guess, in high school. But
were you still making short films then?
Yeah, in high school, yeah, on and off. Not in any real serious way, just in a real amateur way.
So, but you were still doing 8mm stuff, not you hadn't moved up to 16mm at all.
Right, still doing 8mm stuff.
Right. But so where did your commitment to go on to film school really sort of crystallize?
Well, that was, I'll tell you the truth, it was just a question of wanting to continue to play around with movie cameras, as opposed to sort of having any well-thought-out ambitions in terms of being a movie director or anything like that. You know, it was an opportunity for, my parents would not pay for me to go out and make movies, but they would pay for a college education. So what I did, I went to film school where they were sort of paying for me to go out and make movies without really realizing it.
Very devious. So that was, what, how many years ago was that, and when did you graduate?
About 5 years ago. About five and a half years ago, I guess it was.
So in the intervening period, what have you done since graduating?
After getting out of film school, I started working as an assistant editor, mostly on low-budget, independently financed horror films. They were all projects that came in that had been put together independently and financed basically the same way that we financed Blood Simple, through limited partnerships.
Right.
So those were movies like Fear No Evil and The Evil Dead and low-budget horror and splatter movies.
Right. And so this was really your first feature film as a director and writer?
Oh, yeah.
What was the budget on it, by the way?
When I was working as an editor, Ethan and I started writing together. Started out writing scripts for other people, and then after sort of seeing what some of these other producers had done in terms of being able to mount their own low-budget, independent productions, decided to write something that for ourselves to produce, that we would go out and try to produce the same way.
Right. So that what you then got together the finance when you got a script and went right ahead and did it, obviously, without too much trouble.
Well, yeah, that's right, except for the without too much trouble part. It took us a long time to raise the money for the movie, about over a year of really full-time work, actually, where I quit my job and pretty much devoted myself to it full-time, borrowed money to sort of live, and sort of devoted myself to raising the money for it pretty much full-time.
Right. And since the film has come out and had all the critical success, and now I guess a mounting box office success, moguls are throwing mountains of cash at you, sort of handing you open checks and all that sort of thing?
No, we haven't. No one's been throwing mountains of cash at us. We've gotten a lot of. We actually have gotten a fair amount of response from sort of the major studios in terms of their soliciting us for projects that they have in development or things that they want to have done. To tell you the truth, we have been sort of deflecting that as much as possible, because what we're really interested in doing at this point is finishing another script that we're writing ourselves and would like to do independently again.
Right. And so that's how close to coming to fruition is that?
Well, fairly close, I hope. I mean, we're just in the stage right now where we're trying to finish the script, at which point we will try and get the financing for it. But hopefully outside of the studio. I don't think, actually, we're expecting it to be a lot easier to get the money for this movie than it was for the last one, though.
What's the budget on this one?
Pardon me?
What is the budget on this one?
This will probably be about, this will probably end up costing around $3 million.
Which, of course, is still well under the Hollywood average, isn't it?
Well, very, very low budget by Hollywood standards, fairly high budget by our standards.
Right. Well, and what's the working title of the film, and what's it about?
It doesn't have a working title right now. It's about big business in New York in the late 1950s. It's a comedy, sort of a screwball comedy.
Okay. Right, what's sort of like How to Marry a Millionaire or something?
Yeah, it's getting back to the Doris Day Rock Hudson aesthetic.
Who do you see? Who?
Not really.
It's 80s. Oh well, it's set in the 50s, but what with an 80s touch to it, or?
Yeah, it's set in the 50s. It's like one of these old movies that all takes place. This whole entire movie takes place in one skyscraper in New York. So it's sort of it's like these old, sort of like these old movies that all took place in a department store, that sort of thing.
Right.
Takes place in this one,
Right. A touch of farce, obviously.
Sort of, yeah.
Who do you see? Who do you envisage, at least, playing the lead roles in it?
I don't really know. In with Blood Simple, we actually wrote the part that Emmet Walsh plays for Emmett. We saw him in that part even while we were writing the script. And the thing that we're writing right now, we don't have anyone in particular in mind. Also, the script's not 100%. The script's not done yet, so someone may sort of that may happen along the road. But as it stands right now, there isn't any particular actor that we're sort of writing any of the parts for.
Right. Tell me, with Blood Simple, were there filmmakers at all that had influenced you, either how can I put it, directly or subconsciously? Do you think in evolving the film?
I'm sure that there are all kinds that had to have influenced us subconsciously in terms of. Just there are lots of different directors that we like, and
like whom?
It's just virtually impossible not to have been influenced by people. Just by the same token that if you're writing a novel, you're influenced by all the previous novels you've read.
Right.
But I mean, some of our favorite directors are Hitchcock, obviously, Kurosawa. Fellini, of sort of the great, directors. I like all of those guys a lot. Your own George Miller.
George Miller? Really?
Yeah, The Road Warrior was, I gotta tell you, that's just one of that movie, blew me away completely. I was, one of the best movies I've seen in a long time.
The Road Warrior?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. Oh, big Road Warrior fan. Yeah.
I believe the sequel to it is a real humdinger.
I bet. I can't wait to see it. It just came out of nowhere, that movie. I mean, I remember sitting in a movie theater a couple of years ago and seeing the trailer for it, never having heard of it, and I hadn't seen Mad Max, right?
Right.
And going, this is a must see.
That's right.
But, yeah, I mean, I like George Miller a lot. I like Walter Hill a lot.
What about any? I mean, to me, I one sees things that aren't intentionally in films or put into films, but I saw traces of, for instance, the French directors Claude Chabrol and Truffaut in there as well.
Yeah, I've seen a lot. I've seen some of their movies, not a lot, and I like them, but I don't know how conscious any of that was. There was a movie I saw a long time ago that I liked a lot, which was a Clouzot movie called Diabolique.
Oh yeah.
That I think is somewhat close to it in certain respects. In other respects, I think the movie is. I'll tell you, if you want to look for a conscious thing, I mean, what we were conscious of was more being fans of sort of pulp American murder fiction of the James M. Cain, Dashiell Hammett, and Chandler school.
Right.
I mean, when we sat down to write the story, it was a conscious attempt to write a sort of Cain type of murder melodrama. And that, I think, was more sort of conscious than the film things, which I'm sure are there, but are less sort of we were thinking about. The Kane stuff was specific. The Kane stuff, I mean, we were definitely thinking about James M. Cain when we were writing the story.
Right. The casting of the film, you said you wrote for Emmett, but what about the two young romantic leads, in the sense that they're having the affair? Where did you get them from?
Well, we cast the other parts outside of Emmett, including those two leads, were cast in New York. All of the actors, except for Emmett, came from New York. Emmett came from Los Angeles. And they're primarily stage actors. Hadn't done a lot of film. In fact, Fran actually had not done anything. She had just graduated from Yale Drama School. John Getz had been in some movies, small parts in movies and television, and had done a certain amount of, a lot of theater, actually.
Right.
Sam Art, the black bartender, is actually a playwright. Is sort of better known here as a playwright than as an actor. And Danny Hedaya is another example of sort of a New York theater actor, the guy who played Marty.
Right. And tell me, is it true? I read it here somewhere that that the plot evolved as you went. You know, as you were kind of.
Yeah, no, but that's sort of a misinterpretation. Actually, that was written up somewhere in a way that was not sort of the intent of how we. What we were saying at that point was we made the plot up as we went along while we were writing the script.
Right.
In the sense of not sort of sitting down with an outline. When we started shooting the movie, when we went into production, we had a very well worked out screenplay, which we did not vary from very much.
Right.
So, and it's only true to the extent that it was worked out as we went along while we were writing it.
Right. Right. So, and what about the reactions that you've had over there from Hollywood? I mean, in specific terms, have you had the sort of the classic backslapping, cigar smoking people saying to you, well, you know, come over here, we want you to make films for us, sort of thing?
Yeah, there's been a little of that. Again, you know, I'll tell you, it's hard to tell how much of it is really serious, or because we haven't pursued it very far. I mean, you never know, you know, how much, whether or not they're just blowing smoke up your ass until you sort of finally, unless you sort of pursue it and find out what the bottom line is in terms of how serious their intentions are. We haven't done that sort of intentionally. There's been a lot of overtures to us to make films at different studios, but they haven't gotten really past the point of being overtures, simply because we're trying to avoid getting into that situation. And the only reason that we're trying to avoid it is that we figure if we manage to get the money independently of the studios, we'll be able to exercise a little more control over the projects than we might with a studio deal.
Yeah, yeah. Well, yeah, I think, I mean, there's a track record to show that once you sort of give way to the studios, you lose almost all control at almost every point in some way or other.
Right, all of a sudden they're telling you basically how to change the script or how to cast the movie.
But what about just offers, say, to you to come and direct a film, or are they offers really just for the two of you to come and write something and do it for the studio?
I'm not sure I understand what you're saying.
Well, I mean, you know, sometimes if somebody makes a film and it's a collaborative effort, say, with a director and a writer, or it's an auteur effort or whatever, the offer may come either to the writer to go on to do something, or for the director to come and direct somebody else's screenplay, or they might be offering a package deal where they want the same couple of people to come and work on something together.
Right.
So I'm just wondering, are the offers both to you and Ethan, or are they just to you, or just to Ethan?
Oh, no. They've been to both of us, actually.
Right.
I mean, I think they recognize the fact that the way we work is it's a very collaborative, it's a very close collaboration.
Right.
And that's really how we make Blood Simple and how we intend to, continue
To keep going. Right.
working, yes.
Right. Okay, well, listen, congratulations on it again. All the very best. I look forward to great anticipation and curiosity to see what happens with this with the comedy.
Okay, great. Listen, I'm sorry I was so hard to get a hold of. I'm glad we connected.
Oh, look, that's no trouble. I told them here that I'd be quite happy to sort of hang on until we finally got to you.
Right.
Or you got to us, as the case may be.
Okay.
So thank you very much.
Thanks a lot, John.
Okay, bye.
Both Joel and Ethan continue to be involved in film and TV production. Joel turns 71 this year.